Greetings fellow Dungeoneers! We are going to dive straight into this video with a spot quiz. I am going to give you 4 examples and you have to decide what they all have in common. Here's number 1. Amateurs. Number 2. Felt note. Number 3. At this time, in this place, I am Kana Kane of the Zirliku Valkane, and you shall heed my words. And number 4. Well, hello. Did you guess correctly? They are, of course, all examples of individual characters, and you can tell that by the fact that their mannerisms are completely different. They are also, of course, examples of me being a complete div, but by the same token, in all cases I am role-playing, which means that the table spotlight is on me, which brings us on quite nicely to the topic of today's pain point for new or inexperienced DMs: how to manage the table spotlight.
You get it? Got it. Good.
So what exactly is the table spotlight? Well, in a nutshell, it is when all eyes are on a particular person and or character. Sometimes it's the DM, sometimes it's the player. And because Dungeons and Dragons, or any role-playing game for that matter, is a cooperative game, then you realistically want everybody to have their fair share of the limelight. And yes, you can get an amount of disgruntlement happening if somebody feels that they are constantly being overlooked. And that is table spotlight management, making sure that everybody is being included in the game. Now, one place that this tends not to happen is in the middle of combat. Let's face it, combat has a very formulaic system. Everyone rolls for initiative and they know whereabouts in the turn they are going to be carrying out their action. The Dungeon Master will sort of count down, it will get to somebody's turn or one of the monsters' turns. They will have the action, the spotlight will be on them for that period of time. They do what they have to do, the counter moves on, it goes to the next person. All good. So you won't necessarily have a need for intensive table management if essentially your games are really combat heavy. If it's just sort of like one encounter leads into the next combat, then you're not going to notice it as much. I have certainly seen games that are run along those lines, where realistically it's more of a skirmish game rather than a role-playing game. The name is on the tin. There are periods where the expectation is that people that are sitting around the table are going to be playing the role of, well, their own alter ego. And that is the point where you don't want people being stifled out of the game because somebody's a glory hog or outspoken or naturally exuberant compared to other people who are maybe a little bit more of a wallflower. And that is where you as a DM do need to exert some form of table management. Fair comment. So let's have a look at a couple of ways in which we can do something about that. Now, one of the simplest and, well, in some cases the most difficult way of ensuring that the spotlight is on a particular player is to encourage actual role-playing. And to do that, as a DM, you need to lead by example. Now, I have been in far too many games where characters are referred to in either the second or the third person. A player will say, I ask the shopkeeper what the cost of a sword is, or even worse, my character asks the shopkeeper what the cost of a sword is. Whereas in role-playing game terms, you should be going, my good man, pray tell, what would happen to be the purchase price of yonder short sword you have on said rack? Now that was an absolutely crap example. However, you could instantly tell that I was in character. It was bad, but you could tell that I was in character, and because I was using a different voice to the one that I normally do, then the table spotlight is on me. Do you need to be the Laurence Olivier of your gaming table? No, of course you don't. And you may not necessarily feel comfortable in talking in strange or silly voices in front of other people. I totally get that. But if you think back on it, there's got to be times where you've been with your mates at the pub, having a laugh. Public service announcement: if you are under 18 or under 21 in certain jurisdictions, you should not have been in the pub ever. But you've been telling an anecdote about work or something like that, and you'll do a caricature of your boss or a co-worker or something like that, and chances are you'll put on a wheedly voice or that kind of thing, just to emphasise the story. If you can do it there, then you can do it in front of your mates at the gaming table. And if you can do it, then you're encouraging them to do it. Get them to be their character. There are many game systems that actually award bonus experience points for good role playing. If you manage to get your players out of their shell and actually talking in character as if they were that person, then acknowledge it. When it comes to totting up the experience points, turn around and go, Fred, you get an extra 20 XP because that was one heck of a speech. Then everyone else is going to want bonus experience points, and they'll point it out to you that they were role playing. It does take courage, it does take nerve. I appreciate that. Practice it in the mirror if you feel it's necessary. Everyone at some stage has done an impersonation of a movie or TV program. I'll be back. Come on, you've done that one. Anyone can do it. You know for a fact you can. All you got to do is let it out. Role-playing games, the game room in general, is a safe environment. It is the one place where you can let your hair down, you can be somebody else, you can do outrageous things. And if your character can swing from chandeliers and leap up onto the balcony and sword fight with 4 orcs simultaneously, then I'm reasonably certain that at the end of it, they can come up with a flourish. That showed you. The moral of this part of the video is that you and all of your players can do that kind of thing. They can draw the spotlight onto themselves purely by role-playing. But as a DM, you do need to grow up here and lead by example, just a little bit. And once it starts, the floodgate shall be open. Trust me on that one. Now, certainly that performance method is one of the fun ways of managing Table Spotlight, because at the end of the day, you don't realistically have to manage it a great deal. As soon as the players start acting in character, then the spotlight is on them. And what you will tend to find is that people will actually sit back and watch the performance. What you do need to watch out for is to make sure that you don't have a really outspoken person, one who is really extroverted and is therefore taking up far more of the limelight than everybody else who is, I guess, contributing their own fair share, but because they're not necessarily as outspoken, they're not getting quite the same amount of screen time, if you want to put it in sort of TV or movie terms, than somebody else is. There are, of course, other methods of dealing with it. Now, I will very quickly get the, I guess, harsh way out of the way. I have talked in previous videos about the DM. The onus is on them to essentially be vigilant as to what is going on around the table and to, I guess, read the micro expressions of their players to see whether or not they're enjoying it or whether or not there is potential trouble brewing. And if it turns out that everybody is kind of on the same level playing field, but one person is stealing the limelight, and you notice that someone was about to say something and then the person with main character syndrome kind of cuts across the top of them and you see that original person sort of go, then that is the point where you should read the room, step in, even if it's a case of putting your hand up, and go, up. Hang on a second there, Fred. Bob, you were about to say something? And shift the focus. It's a little bit ham-fisted, but it is reminding people that you are the one that is in charge of the flow of play. The person who had been cut across is going to be, hopefully, thankful of the fact that you have put the attention on them because they were about to say something. It must have been important, otherwise they would have kept their gums shut. They may be very benevolent about it and say, no, it's okay, carry on. Yeah, get into the whole etiquette thing. No, you were about to say something, please, carry on. And hopefully the one that was almost hogging the scene will know to keep stum, and if they do try and interject again, then hang on, I will get to you, I'm just dealing with this. Do be aware of that kind of thing, certainly in more tense situations, potentially if there's a fight about to break out or something like that, and depending on who gets to speak first or who does a particular action first could alter the course of the whole encounter. And as a DM, do your best to adjudicate it if it turns out that two people were kind of almost about to do something completely contrary but almost simultaneously. That can lead to confusion, but hey, if that comes up in your game, adjudicate as you see fit. The point is to make sure that one person is not bulldozing straight through purely with their idea and going full tilt with it when somebody wanted to do something different which may have been contrary to it. It's a harsher way of spotlight management, but it is a necessary tool in your arsenal if you need to bring it out. Now, the third method that I'm going to talk about is one that is actually written into the rules, but an awful lot of people tend to overlook it. I am going to refer to 2nd edition and modern 5th edition, because both of them have really good examples of this. Now, what I'm talking about is a subplot. Again, think of it in terms of a movie. If we look at something like Star Wars, yes, the main story is all about making sure that the robots get the plans to the base and rescue the princess and get her away from harm and destroy the space station, and everybody lives happily ever after. Or at least until they get frozen carbonite in the next episode. But all the way through, there is a subplot. There is this rebellion, which is talked about, but the main subplot throughout that movie is the whole thing that Luke is descendant from Jedi Knights. He is strong in the Force in himself, and he begins his training. It does come to fruition in that final attack run along the trench of the Death Star, where he uses the Force to know when to fire his torpedoes off. Is it necessary to the movie? Yeah, for a split second at one point. But at the end of the day, he could have still just had a lucky shot. It wasn't necessary, but it was good padding. Interwoven within the rules of everything from 2nd edition and presumably onwards are the use of subplots. Now, these are going to be particular to any particular character, and it does require an amount of pre-planning on your part as the DM. One, to double check back on what kind of things are relevant to any particular character, but to actually interweave them into the story or module that you are running. Now, as an example, this is a 5th edition character that has been rolled up, and there's random rolls being done for some of the background stuff. This isn't my character sheet, by the way, but a couple of the entries in here I steal from the wealthy to help people in need, and I'm trying to pay off an old debt. Doesn't that just sound like Han Solo? There you go. There was another subplot which was all the way through the original 3 Star Wars movies. And the thing is, when you bring these subplots in, suddenly the focus is on a particular player because it is relevant to them. It's not necessarily relevant to everybody else. And players can be turning to you, the DM, and saying, hey, what's going on? And you can very legitimately turn around and say, ask him. And suddenly the spotlight has been turned and it is on that player, and they have now become the de facto party leader. I certainly recall back in basic Dungeons and Dragons, one of the things that you kind of had to do was elect a party leader, and they were the ones that would sort of like act as the primary conduit between the player group and the dungeon master. They were the ones that would say, this person is doing this person is doing this, etc. bad idea. Everyone can do what they want, but the focus has now suddenly turned upon that person. And if you did have sort of like a natural party leader within your group, suddenly they are then, if not necessarily demoted, but are having to take a large amount of advice from one of the other characters, because it is the other character that knows what is going on, and they don't necessarily have to let everything on. I'll give you another example, this time from 2nd edition. One of the good things about the player's handbooks that were brought out for that edition was that with each character kit that you could use to kind of enhance a particular character class, give it a little bit of spice, was that along with bonuses that came along with the kit, there were penalties as well. And in some cases, those penalties basically boiled down to essentially role-playing exercises. The game had been going for a couple of months. I think the characters were up to about 4th, 5th level. And there was about 5 characters in total. And in the locale, they were starting to make a little bit of a name for themselves. And the most outspoken and outlandish character in the party was a bard. So obviously the kind of character who is the showman, he's not going to go into town and quietly save the place. He's going to sing songs about it afterwards. We had another player join the group. I had played with this guy before, and the style of game that they tended to go for was very much, I guess, min-max. So one of the rules that we have, house rule, is that if you start a new character, then you start at 1st level. It may sound a little bit harsh, but when you look back at the 2nd edition experience tables, they did tend to sort of like go up in doubles. So even if characters were sort of like 5th level and he was starting at 1st, by the time they got to 6th, everything going according to plan, he should already be 5th. So he's going to catch up pretty quickly, and it's going to end up where there's not a huge amount of a gap between, character level spread in the party. Anyway, he starts rolling up his character, and he went for one of the dwarves, so he got bonuses to his strength and he got bonuses to his constitution. He was going to play a fighter, and he took the gladiator kit, so he got extra weapon specializations and free weaponry, and he went dual class and went thief as well. And the kit that he chose for that one was bounty hunter, if I recall correctly. And the rest of the guys are kind of looking at the way he is crafting this character up, and they can tell that he is gearing this very much towards combat. And there were some sideways glances, put it that way. And I think there was only one of the guys, actually the bard, who was kind of looking in my general direction, and he could see the smirk that was coming across, and he knew that something different was about to occur. Now, part of the penalty, certainly for a gladiator, is the fact that because they have been in the arena, they are a fan favourite, they are well known, so he already has a reputation. Bounty hunter, there is the distinct possibility that a notorious bounty hunter, even more notorious because he is from the gladiatorial pits and is already a household name, he is certainly going to be approached to bring certain miscreants to justice. And so he rocks up into town, not having met the party at all, and everyone's kind of trying to work out how they come together, and somebody flags him down in the street. Oh, you, I know you. I saw you in the gladiator pit. Oh, you. I've got this problem. You do jobs where you find people and you bring them in, don't you? Yeah. There's a group of people that have annoyed me, I mean, I've certainly seen you in matches. I know you can take on multiple opponents at the same time. It's not going to be a problem for you. There's only 5 of them. They're led by a bard. And the grins around the rest of the table compared to his face in the cartoon when he suddenly realizes that he is going to be introduced because he has to try and take them on in combat, and he already knows what they can do and bring them in. But that is the kind of thing where it's written into the rules and you can just draw on it, and you can put the spotlight, like I did. I put the spotlight on the new character. He wasn't trying to work his way up through the ranks. He was the center of attention, and he had to do something about the existing party while they're all sitting there going, come on, Bonnie lad, bring it on. And he suddenly realised that maybe I wasn't necessarily going to be ignoring all of the penalties that came with his character classes or his character kits in the way that previous DMs had done. But all of those are the kind of opportunities that you can take advantage of. Not necessarily every session, but you can steer a particular module or adventure to centre on somebody who is one of the wallflowers in the group. Bring them to the front. Make the adventure about them. Have it be part of their background and important to them, and the rest of the party will follow. And suddenly you have turned the table spotlight. And then in the next module, pick on somebody else. It doesn't have to be there and in the moment, and every 5 minutes you're checking to see who is the one that is in charge of the action. It can be more subtle, and there are plenty of examples where, sort of like an episodic TV program, that particular episode will centre on a particular one of the supporting actors and their character, and they will be brought to the forefront while the main cast kind of takes a step back. And then 2 or 3 down the track, it's a different one. So there you go. There's a couple of examples on how you can deal with managing the spotlight at your table. I hope that you have found it of some use, and if you have, please do remember that there is a whole list of these DM advice videos if you want to go back to the homepage and check out that playlist. While you're on your way there, do that social media thing. Hit like, subscribe, get notifications, because there are going to be more of these videos coming out in the very near future. Until then, do enjoy your gaming. Toodle pip for now. Or should I say, au revoir.